Good evening, it's 10 p.m. in Banjul and broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. This is GRTS News with me, Winifred Nicole. In the headlines this evening, the Minister of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment renews government's commitment to address the challenges of the labor force. The Secretary General of the Gambia Trade Union Congress calls on workers to renew their adherence to the principles and practices of work standard. The Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism and Culture, presides over the signing ceremony of the contract for the rehabilitation of the Mungo Park Memorial Obelisk in CRR. In the internationals, the United Nations seeks to broker civilian evacuation from ruins of Mariupol while Russia continues offensive. Elsewhere, Operation Dudula fuels anti-immigrant sentiment in South Africa. Well, viewers, those are the headlines. It's good to have you with us once again. We begin with the statement of the Minister of Trade and Employment. Commemoration of Workers' Day. Industry, Regional Integration and Employment has renewed government's commitment to resources for human capital formation to enable the availability of a healthy and skilled labor force to industries. Mr. Sidi Keita made the remarks during his speech in commemoration of Workers' Day tomorrow. He said the government has approved the National Employment Action Plan 2022-2026, as well as establish a job center at the Department of Labor in Fajara, KMC, and Basse in URR to enhance employability and employment of labor both in the formal and informal sectors of the economy. Here's an excerpt.
Gambia is aware of the challenges confronting the labor force to address them accordingly. In order to better protect the rights of workers and ensure that there is a level playing field for sound and industrial relation employment creation, the government has developed policies, strategies, regulations, and labor laws. Key among them is the repeal of the 1990 Injuries Compensation Act, the 1963 Factories Act, and the regulation, and the 2007 Labor Act, and enactment of new acts in their places. My ministry, through the Department of Labor, has developed regulations on occupational safety and health, which is meant to protect workers from being exposed to occupational related hazards and accidents. In partnership with IMO, my ministry has developed a labor strategy, ethical recruitment guidelines for labor migration, and a training manual for labor migrants. These are expected to regularize migration routes and provide options to young people who consider the back way the surface with Europe. Efforts to ensure the rights is protected, my ministry, in collaboration with the judiciary of the Gambia, established industrial tribunals across the regions as part of the decentralization strategy. Through this collaboration, panel members for the said tribunals are already selected and trained. It is meant to bring services of tribunals to the doorstep of every worker in the Gambia and provide machinery for the equitable and peaceful settlements of industrial disputes. It is in this regard that the government of the Gambia continues to advocate for industrial harmony at workplaces and better working conditions of services to enhance better service delivery.
Meanwhile, the Secretary General of the Gambia Trade Union Congress, Ibrahima Gabacham, called on workers to renew and reaffirm their adherence to the principles and practices in accordance with work standards, noting that work environment goes beyond the demands for adequate remuneration and ideal working conditions. Let's take a listen for more on that.
Engage workers. As partners in development, this day serves as a forum to make sober reflection of our achievements previous years and to make projections for the future. This, however, demands certain responsibilities, including discipline and hard work. You to renew and reform your adherence to the principles and practice in accordance with work standards. We owe it to posterity, and that is what will make the Gambia a better place to live and to work. Distinguished workers' conducive work environment goes beyond the demands for adequate remuneration. It requires unity of purpose among and between workers and employers in the protection and promotion of your varied interests. In this direction, workers can be engaged in collective bargaining in the realization of and better terms and conditions of employment. I call all of you to inculcate the spirit of industrial peace and harmony at the workplace to realize your objectives. Your approach to dialogue as a tool for dispute resolution in the labor market is one of the secrets of our economic success. In this way, the Gambia labor market can be made a center of attraction for foreign investors.
Moving on, the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism and Culture, presided over the signing ceremony of the contract for the rehabilitation of the Mungo Park Memorial Obelisk in CRR. The project, worth over $4 million, is meant to protect and promote cultural and rural tourism in the country. Kejetu Jallo was there and she filed in this report.
It was in 1944 that the Mungo Park Obelisk was built and named after a Scottish surgeon, and it remains one of the country's most treasured tourism sites. Director General, National Center for Arts and Culture, Hassan Sise, after revisiting the history, pointed out the importance of rehabilitating the historical site.
Like a lot of things with this project, we want to protect for posterity the legacy of the famous explorer who is a national hero in Scotland. Number two, to underscore the contribution of the Gambia to the success of international exploration, especially the help offered by to explorers like Mungo Park by local Gambian chiefs and women. Number three, we will be adding value to a major monument, thereby productive in terms of generating revenue. And finally, through this project, we hope to be boosting cultural and rural tourism.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Tourism Ministry, Mamadi Damfa, gave a breakdown of the contract, which is in three components.
The contract is worth $4 million, several components, all of which relate to rehabilitation, conservation, and value adding to the Mungo Park Memorial Obelisk. The first component of the work is to secure the site with a perimeter fence so that the obelisk can be protected from. The second component of the works is the erection of a site chaos museum. The third component is the erecting of a water supply and solar lighting system. In addition, there will be visitor convenience, including benches. According to the contract documents, works will take 3 months to complete.
The renovation of the memorial obelisk, according to DPS Damfa, is in line with government policy to protect and enhance cultural and heritage sites in the country.
The project also falls in line with the provisions of the new Arts and Culture Policy 2018-2027, which seeks to optimize the conservation of heritage sites for inclusive economic development through community-friendly tourism. The monies for this project come from the development budget that the Ministry of Tourism and Culture has received from the National Treasury to improve our heritage sites. So far in the past year, the development budget has enabled NCAC to rehabilitate the Kerbach Stone Circle, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which I will soon at Nyanija in Sierra North. Other improvement works like extension of electricity has been completed at Jufre, Alberta, Sierra South, and Fort Bullen in Barra, thanks to the development budget.
The National Council of Culture is tasked to closely monitor the 3 months which is contracted to Turekunda Construction for quality and timely delivery. Signing the document, the contractor assures the timely completion of the renovation. When completed, it is expected to give the Mongo Park Memorial Obelisk a new facelift that will attract more visitors. Reporting for GRTS News.
The Insurance Association has condemned comments made by the president of the General Transport Union, describing companies in the Gambia as scammers. Speaking at a press briefing of the Gambia Insurance Association, Makare Bajan, said the core mandate of insurance companies is to provide compensation to its policyholders. Duara has more on that.
The Insurance Association of the Gambia on Tuesday refuted comments it said were made by the president of the General Transport that insurance companies in the Gambia are scammers. At a press briefing, the president of the Association of the Gambia said the core mandate of all insurance companies is to provide to its policyholders loss caused by a risk which the policyholder has insured against and or to compensate third parties.
We are all aware that of recent we have unfortunately seen officials of the Gambia General Transport Union on media, social media, print, TV, actually calling the insurance industry and particularly as scammers, which is very unfortunate. The Insurance Association of the Gambia condemns in the strongest possible terms the recent statements made by the president of the General Transport Union, Mr. Omar Sise, and other officials of the GTU, labeling us as scammers. Whilst this statement illustrates utter ignorance of the operation of insurance companies by Mr. Sise and his colleagues, its intent is to misinform and misguide the unsuspecting public on the true insurance. All insurance companies operating in the Gambia are not only registered and licensed by the Central Bank, who regulates all affairs of insurance companies, but equally, all insurance companies are registered in accordance with the Companies Act of the Gambia.
Mr. Bajan assured the public that all legitimate claims will be processed quickly. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Kadi.
Moving on, a chat with small businesses in the new initiatives undertaking entrepreneurs that are devising innovative ways of penetrating the sub-region meant to expand the local product. Young entrepreneurs called on locals to embrace the new phenomenon. Pasulika Moloshi has more on this special report.
Herbs are generally good and contain health benefits. Drinking, especially herbal tea, helps in relaxation, pain reduction, and the improvement of body systems such as digestive and the immune systems. The beverages are made from the infusion of herbs or other plant materials containing no chemical substance. The Gambia's first herbal tea is in the making. Yahari, which is the Sarahule word for a girl, is a herbal tea business established by a young lady, Fatoumata Njai, who uses raw materials entirely made in the Gambia, processed and packaged in tea bags that can easily be dipped in hot water to release nutrients that one can consume for satisfaction and health benefits.
Yeah, what we do, we process herbs. We work with women farmers in the provinces. What they do is grow these herbs and then we buy it from them in bulk. We have our processing center, our factory, where we process these teas. Yeah, basically we work with women farmers and then we work with young girls and men in our factory as well.
The young company produces various blends ranging from female tea that helps in women's health, ginger, mbor, wonjo, grass, amongst other varieties. Young as it is, Fatumata's business draws inspiration from that will go untapped if not properly utilized. This, however, does not stop such local businesses from facing insufficient sales due to lack.
I was trying to grow, trying to showcase these products, trying to show people what I am doing. It was challenging, I can say. You know, these are products that have been grown and made in the Gambia, and then trying to change people's mindset to buy these herbs instead of the black teas, it wasn't really easy. But I would say, Alhamdulillah, now people are accepting the products. We are supplying the supermarkets and some hotels.
Despite using ingredients entirely produced in the Gambia, Fatoumata gets her packaging products imported from elsewhere. This causes fluctuation in the prices of her products due to uncertainty in the international market, especially supply chain.
We should focus more on producing our own products or work on buying our own homemade products. So I think this going back to the land, as they say, going back to what we grow will help ease all these problems that we are facing.
People like Fatoumata have the ambition to redefine the country's economic landscape, transforming it from an import-based market to a mixture of both heavy exports and few imports. Napajeg, meaning lifting the burden of women, deals in processing local grains into semi-cooked and stored products that can easily be prepared into finished form in just few minutes. The idea is to make cooking easier for especially career women who may not necessarily have the time for the entire preparation process.
It's food. So the food business, people have to eat. It's just knowing who you're selling to and giving them what they want. So yes, so definitely the food business is booming.
The common ordeal that these businesses share is lack of exposure beyond the social media. For Binta Khan, a little bit of effort from both locals and government could go a long way.
When we produce our local products, we don't need certain importation of certain cereals in the Gambia. We already have them here. What we have to do is just to put it in the minds and let government help or put it in the minds of the people that Gambia, our young entrepreneurs are coming up and they are doing this.
And as works intensify to boost local production in its various forms for a rapid socio-economic change, Yahare will soon open its new outlet that will house every type of machine necessary in the production of these herbal teas, but also to bridge the unemployment gap and begin massive infiltration of the sub-regional market.
What I will advise people is to start consuming Gambian products, to consume what we make here. This will help us, the entrepreneurs, and it will help also with these price issues and all of these that we are facing in the Gambia. So we are hoping that we will get our teas in the government as well. We have registered with Gambia Procurement Office, so we are working on writing a letter to the government officials. We want them to consume these teas that we are making. We want all the government sectors to be having these local products that we are making. Let them start consuming and start wearing all these things that we are making in the Gambia.
With some of these new businesses taking shape, the Gambia might just have to brace up for a major takeover by SMEs, which form 90% of the economy, according to a World Bank Doing Business report that ranks the Gambia 146 out of 190 assessed countries. Needless to say, this calls for combined efforts, which might just be an extra mile in resuscitating the state of the economy. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Fatu Elika Mloshi.
Well, moving on, officials of the Resilience of Organizations for Transformative Smallholder Agriculture Roots, in collaboration with the Regional Director of Livestock Services in LRR, on Friday distributed small ruminants and materials to 3 project beneficiaries in the Lower River region. Supported by the Rural Poor Stimulus Facility, an EFAT grant, aims at strengthening the resilience of smallholder farmers amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Usman Balde has the rest of that story.
Stimulus facilities support include provision of rice and vegetable seeds, support to livestock owners, funding to SMEs in rice and horticulture value chains, provision of sanitizing materials, face masks, COVID-19 awareness, radio outreach, among other vital support to Gambians. These beneficiaries were selected through the Regional Directorate of Livestock, looking through their vulnerabilities as well as how they were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
This set of materials includes animals. That is, each beneficiary will be receiving a male and 2 females of each type, be it goats or sheep. That is for the small ruminants. And for the poultry, we had already done the distribution last week, in which each of the beneficiaries received 100-day-old chicks with their feed, drinkers, and vaccines. Just like for the small ruminants today, who will be receiving also animals, feed, vaccines, and feeders. So each of these beneficiaries will be receiving a set of these materials. This is meant to boost their production amidst the COVID-19 pandemic.
For his part, the Regional Livestock Director for Lower River Region, Madhu Kamara, explained the donated materials will massively enhance livestock production and productivity in the country.
Lack of their support in terms of livestock, poultry, small ruminants, and also feed and drinkers, feeders, tags. They have antibiotics, they have multivitamin, needle and syringes, they have OTC spray, they have mineral leak or mineral block, and other items like pour-on for ticks and lice. So I think this will go a long way in improving the production and productivity of these poultry farmers and livestock farmers, and it will also boost their production.
Beneficiaries Al Samba Bari of Dongoroba village in Jara East and Fatu Jallo of Seno Bajonki in Jara West both hailed the initiative and promised to make best use of their support.
Min jogi man ha bakkini dum nafal kam mina family am sabu wada sutura te aduna ko jida ko sutura han woni hemu kala ko tampuda sibbo ma heba hemu sutura.
The materials presented to these project beneficiaries includes feeding barrels, groundnut hay, and mineral, while according to project's official, the remaining item including ships will be handed to these project beneficiaries after the Korite. Usman Balde, GRTS.
Well, over now to news from outside the Gambia. The United Nations broker an evacuation of civilians from the ruins of Mariupol, where the mayor said the situation inside the steel plant that has become the southern port city's last stronghold is there. Ukrainian forces fought to hold off Russian south and east as Russia continued to shell Kharkiv in northeast Ukraine. More in this report by France 24.
Exhausted, but grateful to be alive. These evacuees have just arrived in the city of Kharkiv after fleeing violence in the nearby village of Ruska Losova. Ruska in Russia's hands since March, but Ukrainian forces claim they have now recaptured the village. The fighting has caused many of its residents to escape.
We were hiding in the basement. It was horrific. The basement was shaking from the explosions. We were crying and we were praying to God.
The evacuees may have left, but the horrors of war still ring out around them. Reclaiming the village of Ruska Losova is part of a push by to drive Putin's forces to Kharkiv. President Volodymyr Zelensky held the alleged